You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. This is it. The final week of August. This is it. We're actually days away till September. And to be honest with you, I can't wait. I can't wait for fall. Fall is actually my favorite season. I know people are like, well, technically it's still going to be summer. No, it's not. We all know, like, people are back to school. Okay, like, I'm back to school. Like, I've been 1 weekend as Professor Ernest at Cheney University, which I'm super excited about. This semester, of course, you all know I'm teaching freshman seminars. So I've been, just adjusting to just like, oh my goodness, like this is their first time in college. And like I have their enthusiasm. I'm partially responsible for their enthusiasm as first year students. So it's exciting. I mean, I'm teaching 2 separate cohorts freshman seminar this semester, and it's a good group. It's a lot of students. I think on my roster 40 total, 40 different students in total. And so it's a good group. They so far so good. Everyone's adjusting to the technology and getting them familiar with these places where they can submit their assignments and all of that. I have to remember, like, yeah, this is their first time, so the syllabus and everything is like, new to them. So yeah, they're getting it though. They seem to be very excited, which that was the part that made me the most enthusiastic to teach freshman seminar, because I was like, this is a group that want to go to school. I mean, and it's interesting with everything going on with the college debt conversation, which we're going to get into, of course. It's just, yeah, it's good. It's good. And it's, like I said, I'm excited for fall. And I'm excited about moving. Like, this is the week too. I'm moving. We're after 5 years of being at the place I'm at now, I'm finally ready. I mean, what's funny is, like, when you live in a place for so long, you by the time you're ready to go, like, it's really time to go. Like, it's time to go. Like, I'm ready to move. Like, I'm like counting down the days. I'm like, yeah, it's time. But no, I've this weekend has been big. I mean, went to one of my favorite restaurants, Rick's at the Royal, That's like it was my restaurant in the summer. I think I went to Rex at the Royal more than any other restaurant, I think. And I actually paid to go. Like, I love it there. Great food, great service, great drinks. They just across the board. It's definitely my restaurant this summer. I went with Abel. Yeah, Mr. Johnson, all of us, the 3 of us, we all got together. And we went to Rexon Road for dinner and just caught up and, talked about the fall and a couple other great things. So it was a good way to say deuces summer. What else? I mean, this weekend we really got serious. Like, we're like, it's time. Like, we're really, really ready to move. I mean, we got rid of so much stuff, y'all. Like, across the board, not just my closet, but like the whole house. I mean, we're like boxing things, and we're not moving everything. I just want to be clear. A lot of people was asking me, like, are y'all moving? I'm like, listen, we're working with Mambo Movers. They are the best at what they do. Mambo Movers was the best affiliate winner many years ago. And when I first moved, when I was in 2017, yeah, it's been 5 years, 2017. So I had been at Philly Mag for at least a year at that point. I heard about Mambo Movers through them, and I was like, let me hit them up. They're the best at what they do. And so the plan is, which is still intact, is that actually later this week, before the 1st, because like September 1st, new month, new place, new everything. The furniture is going to be coming in. We got the people hanging the stuff up. The interior design is going to be in full effect. I'm going to spend, I don't teach next week because the way my class is set up, that there's a holiday on a Monday, because I'm teaching the same exact course to a different cohort on Wednesday. I have no classes at all. So the great thing is, like, next week I'll be off to fully which is the perfect timing, like Labor Day week and all that, and Mr. Johnson be off 3 day weekend. Like all of us would just be focused on the place, the new place. So that the timing couldn't have been any better. The timing is like perfect. So I'm super excited about that and just like getting everything like all together all next week and everything. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm really happy. And I'm happy this week is the week of just move, put everything in, and then the weekend and everything. Because I'm not going to Made in America. My younger brother definitely will be going, but I'm not doing Made in America for this. I'm so grown, y'all. I'm too grown. I don't like I just as someone who went to like the first Made in America, or at least was that did I go to the first? I think it was like Pearl Jam and Jay-Z or Drake. Maybe Drake or it was either Drake or Jay-Z who opened. I think it was Jay-Z and Pearl Jam, and then Drake was the year after, and Beyonce did it like what 2 times, and then Rihanna, and then Kanye West. I mean, as somebody who remember the days when, well, Bad Bunny is no joke though, because Bad Bunny was on the VMAs, y'all. So I watched the VMAs and the Video Music Awards. Bad Bunny, he got some talent. I can't take that away from him, but like it's for the kids. It's for the kids. The days of Rihanna and Beyonce headlining Man America Festival. I don't know. Those days passed us? It seems like it. So, and I think people like Lil Baby, which I don't have an issue with Lil Baby. Do we have a problem? No, we don't. I hope you all get that joke for those who know the song. Um, but everybody else, yeah, I'm gonna just be excited that my couch is coming in, my sofa set, our dining room set, all these different things will be coming in. So I'm actually more excited about a rug and a bookshelf and all those things in action rather than you know Made in America. I've had too many weekends. Okay, all of my weekends have been action packed. This is an action packed weekend, but an action packed unpacked weekend, if you get what I'm saying. So I'm excited about it. Yeah, and I'm excited for fall. Like fall is here. It's coming. It's here. Like how they say winter is here. It's fall, and fall is my favorite season because we're getting close to Libra season. The Virgos, y'all have your little thing, Virgo seasons and grooves and all that. But it's Libra season is coming, and all of the goodness that comes with that, and all of the fall festivities. So I'm really excited about. Listen, I've worn out my hoochie daddy shorts. I'll probably rock them out by these last days of August, and but by September. I'm already getting ready for the nice chinos and the, some, my nice, flexible, fashionable jeans. We're wearing loafers again. The flip flops go away. The loafers, stay. Yeah, I'm ready for fall. But another good news, for a second year in a row, I got on the Philadelphia Tribune's most influential African Americans list. Now, listen, that's the title they gave it, but I'm black. But I appreciate the honor, and for some of y'all who remember that journey, in the all the things before I was one of the honorees, in the past history. It's it's nice, and and I'm truly thought grateful, and all the love that you all have sent me on social media about it. I really appreciate it. So yeah, their celebration is a virtual celebration that's going to be in late September. But they made it. They gave the news to us, honorees, last week. So that's what I was able to share. Super excited about it. And advanced copies. Y'all been seeing them. Advanced copies of my upcoming book, The Case for Cancel Culture. There are people on this planet that have an advanced copy. Now, to be clear, this is the final book. Well, this is the full book. There are tweaks being done to the edition. So for people who have been one of the lucky folks around the world that has been able to touch this book, this is not the final edition because the good thing about the book process is that we're in an interesting situation where there's like little tweaks we could do. So there's like updated parts of the book that will be like updated and tweaked. So people who were charged, they got convicted, R. Kelly, those things will be like able to be updated and little things like that. And acknowledgments section may have additional names, different things like that will be. But for the most part, the book that some of these lucky people will be able to read and see, that they're mostly reading the gist of the book. It's done. All chapters, titles, all those things, those are done. There's no real major facelifts or anything done. They're getting to read the book less than 6 months away. But to be clear, because there was a lot of confusion on the internet, okay, and I want to be very clear, because, I'm going through this first book journey with you all as well. So advanced copies of books are not the sexy edition of the book. It is simply a paperback version that is labeled advanced copy all over it. You cannot resell it. You cannot re-give it. I mean, it's not meant like that. It's meant for the reader to just basically read the contents of the book, because those individuals will help in the promotion of the book in some type of way. Either they will, blurb social media. It could be a critic that might do an early review. Someone who is interested in the book that's influential that we might try to get to do a blurb that will go on the first edition, the book that you all will read. This is a very, very sensitive process. So this is very much, the people who are getting this are people who are in the media industry and the literary community. I have, of course, my husband and my mama are going to read, the advanced edition. Of course they are, but like, it's not for like everybody. So there's some people that might be listening and like, oh, where my copy? Listen, unless you are like, somebody at the, like most of the time I'm seeing my, certain people and I'm like showing them the book and they're taking a picture with the book, but I have not really given out copies outside of the media industry. So yes, Patty Jackson has an advanced copy and she did that lovely shout out. Okay, but Patty Jackson is a broadcasting pioneer and legend. And Patty Jackson got a massive following. And Patty Jackson is reading this book to interview me eventually when we get down to the book tour and all the little fun stuff. Ooh, did I say something? Ooh, dropping little hints. No, but whatever I do to promote the book, Patty's gonna probably give me an interview. Well, she's gonna give me an interview. But like, she got to read something, right? They got to read it before they talk about it. And so this is how it works with movies, right? There's advanced screenings of films. There's, what else they have? Advanced screenings, albums. Some people have listening parties. Like, this is what they do. As someone who's went to listening parties for artists, especially when I was younger, I got to go to some advanced screenings for some really good artists. You go there as a person that's in the industry. Like, I was at that time freelancing for HuffPost and doing, my own pieces on the blog sites and stuff. So, you get invited to certain things and you go and you get to listen to the album before it comes out and you write reviews. So as you all know, I used to do that for a lot of gospel artists, Black gospel artists in the business. They used to invite me out and I would go and, I would do an album review on their albums. Yes, y'all, I've done it with Ty Tribbett. I've Anita Wilson. That I remember her. I did an album review on Anita Wilson, who's such a sweet woman, inside and out. And we still keep up with each other on social. But I remember when I think it was Vintage Soul that album was, and I got to go to New York and go to an advanced listening party, a private listening party, and I listened to it, loved it, interviewed her, did a review. And the album went to number 2, got a Grammy nomination. She's just an incredible person. See, fun stuff, fun facts. But that's how it works. So a lot of folks I know, they're in my DMs like, wait, what happened? Did I do something wrong? Where's my book? I'm like, your book is coming February 21st, 2023. There is no funny business over here, right? Like some folks with t-shirts, we'll get to them in a minute. But everything's coming. And to be clear, okay, people who pre-order copies, you're getting a hardback edition. You're getting the first edition. You're getting a hardback version. You're getting the clean, polished, beautiful, glamorous book. Okay, this is none of that. This is just a paperback. So when everybody saw these paperbacks, I think they thought that's the book. No, that's the cover of the book without all the labels and everything telling people they can't resell it. They're getting a very, very advanced edition. You're getting a beautiful hardback, clean, pristine book with the covering and all that jazz. That's what you're getting. And you're getting that in February of 2023. And the people who got this copy in this edition, these are people who are literary influencers and media. And not all media, of course. There are people who are in a position to write book reviews and give coverage in that kind of way. It's a very, very selected few. And yeah, so I know a lot of people was messaging me when they saw folks out here. Some people they follow, right? Like you all follow William Ketchum and Aaron Haynes and other people. You're like, what? They got this, they got that. Listen, this is a very, very, very top secret endeavor. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the people who have gotten it, the people who've been reading it thus far and have told me things that they've read and that stuck out to them. I'm so excited. It was a great surprise. The process and the rollout has been going really well, and the enthusiasm, excitement. And it's also fun because a lot of people who are not clearly do not know anything about the book itself, they're like just basing it off the title. I'm not talking about the literary critics and community. I'm talking about just random folks on Twitter. They're like, says the guy who's writing the book to cancel everybody. I'm like, child, I mean, you could easily go to, Amazon or one of the websites and actually read up on what I'm actually talking about in the book. But, just run off the title. That's cool. I mean, the buzz is wild. I love that it's taking a life of itself and this is going to be a new journey and all of that jazz. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I guess I wanna say this. A lot of people asked me, over the weekend, I did a Facebook post, a Sunday sermon of sorts, and it was just, talking deep. And, I'll be brief, about this. Well, this summer, a lot of people, this summer has been a very learning time for myself, and I said, when you step into greatness, not everyone will be there for the ride. And if there's anything the summer has taught me, it's been about having a level of versatility, durability, and grace. And what I mean by versatility is being able to navigate through all of the different changes in my life and the surprises, the durability to be able to actually persevere and succeed in spite of whatever surprises, hiccups, and betrayals I experience. And the grace, okay, and being able to really not react or respond to those who cause those events. Lizzo was, which we'll talk a little bit more about Lizzo and her experiences with this idiot, but she was saying that, when she accepted this wonderful award for album for Song for Good, which is an interesting category of VMAs, but we'll get to them in a minute. But what I will say is that she said something about, like people always tell her to clap back, but she's like, because bitch, I'm winning, ho. And she said it just like that. And she shout out Southwest. She was referring to Southwest, Alief, Texas, because she went to Elsick High School, the same high school I went to, Alief Elsick High School, and we was on the Southwest side, which we always say Southwest. So that's what she was referencing to. Just fun little fact. But her larger point is that that's, in a nutshell, that's where I've been with it. There's been some people, like I see and hear everything, y'all. People tell me what people be out here saying. People even send me screenshots. People so messy. But like, it's been a summer just adjusting and adapting to new opportunities and just recognizing, that there's just certain people who just won't, that just, are stuck on stupid. They don't want to see you win, or they are bitter, or they have other issues that are not about you, and they will always try to put their burdens on you. And you get to a point as you get older where you're like, could I check this person or defend myself or prove this person wrong or do this, and you'd be like, why? And this summer was a moment when I just asked the question, why? Now let's be clear, I'm nobody's punk. Like, I ain't about to sit and let people physically disrespect me, any of those things, right? But the need, right, with cowards, right, the need to have to confront and justify no, especially when I look at these people in these situations, and 9 times out of 10, 99 points out of 10, they're doing worse off than you. They're insufferable. They're miserable on their own. there's like actually no need to really have to do anything. I've realized that in my 30 years of life, I've learned that bad people, institutions, and ideas will always hang themselves in the end. And so I'm dead serious when I tell people, let them hang. Like there are people who will they will do themselves in more than you ever think you could. And I'm not talking about revenge. I'm just saying that there are people that literally will talk themselves off a cliff and reveal themselves. There are people that will basically self-destruct without you having to do any intervention. You don't have to do anything. Like the proof is in the pudding. The work speaks for itself. And what I've learned about myself in the process is that none of the things that anybody has said about me in the past, present, or in the future will stop what's destined for me. A lot of times I used to think when I was younger that, oh, somebody's going to block this or block that. I got to fight back. And I've realized in situations, okay, in personal interactions, that most of these things were just a reflection and projection of the individual and their insecurities and flaws. It was never about me because I didn't do anything. And a lot of times when you're looking at yourself and you're wondering, like, why is this happening or whatever the situation is, you say to yourself, well, until I thought about it just now, did anything else shape or disrupt what was already happening? And the answer was no. And so there are people that just want to demand your time and energy because they don't have sufficient time or energy. And when you realize that and when you start thinking about incidents and people and situations, you begin to realize like this is really it is really them. It is really everything else around them, and it has nothing to do with you. And to invest your energy and let those people discourage you from pouring into others that are more deserving, discourage you from shining as bright as you desire, and being distracted from what's already been preserved, it's not worth it. And that was something I've learned throughout the summer. There has been so many things that have happened this summer that I think about and I'm just like, yeah. And of course, some of that has played out publicly. Some of you all have seen, y'all see the things, y'all see the people with the antics, and it just gets to a point where you're just like, is it really going to change anything? No. So, what do? You just keep moving. So, moving to the hot topics and everything that's been going on. By the way, I am drinking this new drink. There's a place called Dope Botanicals, which is a black woman owned planticarthy. They call themselves a planticarthy, like a apothecary or whatever, but it's called a planticarcy. That's a term they made for it. But they have herbs, like all these herbs that like do different things. Chamomile. They of course have chamomile. They have sage. They have all kind of different herbs and spices, I believe too. And it's so, oh my God, it's just so dope. They make lattes with the herbs. Everything's organic. Everything's done inside, fresh, cold pressed juices. They're located on 20th, I believe, like 20th and like Locust, where the old Sip and Glow used to be on 20th and Rittenhouse. This is in Rittenhouse on 20th. That whole block, right? Right next to Cook at the Cook or whatever that wine shop is or whatever. So they're over there called Dope Botanicals. They're on Instagram. Black women owned. They got on the Best of Philly list. Shameless plug recently, and they had a beautiful spread in the Best of Philly magazine for those who have the physical copy of the August issue. And they make some really good stuff. So they also have these cold pressed juices, like I mentioned, and I'm drinking one of them right now. It's called the Switch, and it's good. It's good. It's the quality for me. But they're a really great place. Great quality. The women are so bubbly and so nice there, and they have so many different herbs. Before you all start, this is not CBD. They don't have a CBD. They don't sell CBD. They don't sell anything like that on the herbal tip. However, they have other things that will pick you up just as nice. And they have so many options, stuff that you can make teas with, smoothies, juices, lattes, powders that you can buy and put into your own, daily supplements and routines. And they're super dope, like they said. I'm in love. I'm in love. Like Laura, who just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Laura. Happy birthday, Chris. Like Chris Bartlett had a birthday. I have a lot of apparently Virgos, right? So yeah, happy birthday, you Virgos. Beyonce's birthday's in a week or so. Happy birthday to Beyonce in advance. But yes, there's a lot of good things. So we'll see. But this is check them out. They have some real good practitioners. So it's these are herbalists and certified integrated health practitioners, and they're sisters, and they are an inspired place that creates intentional plant based alchemical chemical remedies. And they say, quote, "We believe your body is your most luxurious possession. You deserve to feel and heal good." And their Instagram, of course, is at Dope Botanicals. And the website is myDopeBotanicals.com. So you can get information about the stuff they sell. I just haven't seen anything like it personally. Like a place where you could that just makes it easy to get raw, organic herbs. I mean, there's a bunch of shops probably, but the way that they make it so sexy, like it's like very cool, and you can get drinks, so they'll talk to you about them, and it's diverse. I mean, it's just a dream. I never heard about this until recently. They just actually opened in November of 2021, and they took over the leasing from Sip and Glow, which I did a Sip and Glow cleanse many years ago actually. I wrote about it actually for Philly Mag, so you can read it. They had a location there. That's where I got my juicing stuff. They're not there anymore. So Dope Botanicals is, and Dope Botanicals is super dope. So it's great to see that location, has maintained to be a great place where there's great juicing and healthy things. So speaking about health, monkeypox. Everybody's been talking to me about monkeypox. I have some news for people who are interested in getting vaccines. Now, to be clear, this is about the target demographic. So for those people who are reaching out to me about monkeypox vaccines and vaccinations, this is specifically for. I think I don't. I think anybody can come and get them, but like I remember with COVID, there was a lot of conversation about who should get access to COVID vaccines. This location, Dr. Ayla Stanford, her center, which is always doing the work. Let me just say they're always doing the work over there. They have vaccines, and I wanted and even though there's like cases are going down in certain areas, listen, we don't know if this stuff can come back. And I'm speaking to those who specifically are the target demographic. So monkeypox vaccine here for you, the Dr. Ayla Stanford Center for Health Equity. Okay. The location is 20 West Lehigh Avenue, which is 20th and Dr. Ayla Stanford Way. Basically, this is zip code 19132. They are open Monday and Wednesday of this week from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Primary care, pediatrics care, behavioral health, men's health, physical examinations, COVID-19 vaccination, flu shots, other vaccines, and more. Well, they have a monkeypox. And if you go to their social media page, okay, because their social media is super dope, if you need to go to www.bdccares.com, bdccares.com. That is the Black Doctors COVID Consortium, but bdccares.com, and they have monkeypox vaccines. Now, like I said, some people who are just like, oh my God, I want to get monkeypox. This is be very mindful of who is getting monkeypox, and be very respectful for the vulnerable populations and the target demographics that are mostly impacted by this. So, to people within the queer communities, to specifically men who have sex with men, that are not married, that's not in monogamous relationships, but people who are sex workers, people in open relationships, who are single, that's mingling. There's no shame or judgment over here. This is ideally the place to go to get vaccinations and talk to practitioners and physicians who look like you, right? That can talk about these things in a way that you might feel comfortable. You might not feel comfortable going to certain healthcare facilities in the city, like Mazzoni. There are people who listen. I'm telling you what I know. Okay, I've covered these places, But if you want to go somewhere like this, right, that's in North Philly, that is with black and brown people that can help you, you can make an appointment. You don't have to, but it's preferred. Go and get your vaccination if you're out here. There's no shame. Do what you have to do to protect yourself, right? Personally, I'm not getting the vaccine. I don't feel like I need to get it based on what the qualifying information is. I mean, granted, there's people, could I get one? Sure. But personally, I don't fit the criteria, and I don't personally feel the necessity to get one. And I'm not being an anti-vaxxer. It's nothing like that. It's simple that there is a low supply. And it really is a low supply. So much that the government is having to reduce, they have to be very, they're rationing this out. So for me, I'm not at high risk. Now, COVID, I'm a journalist. I need to get my vaccine ASAP because I'm out here, right? And COVID could get anyone. But it seems like monkeypox, again, monkeypox is not an STI, but in most of these cases, it is happening from a lot of sexual contact and other things. And so there are people that are trying to make it like monkeypox is just hitting everybody all at once, everything at once. The data is showing something different. And at the same time, a lot of those cases are related to sex. Not every case, but a lot of them are. And a lot of them are impacting a certain demographic largely. Not saying that it's not going other places, because it is for sure. But it's just be mindful about when you decide to get vaccinated, right? Understand, to be an ethical human, right? To understand population, impact, need, right? You know, if monkeypox progresses in a way that could be, which it doesn't seem like it is, perhaps, right? Well, then at that point, yeah, I would probably have to get a vaccine because it's probably inescapable. But I sometimes see what I call the white fear of viruses and things, and white people hoarding from communities that are the ones being the most impacted. When I think about in New York, or even in some parts of the where you see these people living in the suburbs and these predominantly white areas that like literally live at home and stay and live at home most of the time, are literally going into the hood. Let's keep it 100, right? And in those lines to get their vaccinations because they don't want to wait. They're taken away from black and brown people that are out there doing service work and a lot of different types of domestic work that requires them, essential work, right? Requires them to have it before other people. So we're not cutting the line here. That's just my take. That's not coming from the clinic or the center. That's just an Ernestly just giving his opinion. But the importance of it, if you're somebody who feels like, look, you're out here and you're doing your thing, and people around you, people. I don't know anyone personally who's had monkeypox, which is why I'm in this space of like, I know people that know people that know people who have monkeypox, and I've seen some things on my social media from followers sharing experiences. But like personally, I don't think I'm at risk personally. But there are other people who are in the city. So just get the vaccines if you can, and if it's right for you. Don't take it away from a lot of people right now with the fact that there's no mass rollout of these vaccines to the public, to certain individuals. I'm not gonna name names. Just be thoughtful, right? Be mindful about it, right? You don't need to get a monkeypox vaccine right now just because you saw something on the news that got you scared. Like let's be thoughtful here. Not every, and we have to be clear here, not every, outbreak is going to be COVID. I think we're also in this era right now where the moment people hear about outbreaks and they think of COVID, and that's some of the media's responsibility, right? Of how they put out that mass fear. It's got to calm down. I mean, not our vigilance, right? Our vigilance to stay high, but to some of the false dichotomies, it has to stop. So please, people, just read more, think more, be better people. And good news, though, there is going to be Omicron boosters, like for boosters for COVID, that's supposed to be more updated and modern. And that is happening in late September, apparently. Biden says he's going to have them ready. So we're going to be ready. We'll see. We'll see. But that I'm getting, right? Like boosters, there'll be enough probably for everybody. Won't be a situation like the monkeypox vaccines, right? Be smart. Get your boosters, y'all. Fall is here. I know it's looking like we're hoping, I'm knocking on my wooden table, hoping that we don't, that we don't have a new variant or anything like that. Seems to be for now. So be smart. So moving along, everyone's been talking about the Trump, right? Trump, Trump, Trump. Listen, y'all, I feel like we talked about this last week, but I really do feel like he's going to get indicted. The question for me becomes if the indictment is going to be before the midterms or if it's going to be after. You know, Merrick Garland likes to play by the book. Quite frankly, Democrats, give it to them. You know, that's kind of how I feel. Fuck it. Everybody want to be like, oh, politics. They can't everything's political. Everything's political at this point. Everybody's being political about what they're doing. Like listen, y'all know what I'm gonna say. This student loan thing, how convenient. I mean, he's been working on it, but how convenient, right? Just saying. Like, everything's political. So if we're gonna, I mean, it's always been. So the Republicans would have sit up here and have a moral code or political when everything Trump had done was political. And I'm not saying two things are bad or good. I'm just saying at the end of the day, there's no special. Like, honestly, the case to me to indict Trump, if there's an indictment there, do it as soon as possible. You didn't wait for after the midterms to indict, the city council people in Philadelphia with Kenyatta Johnson when y'all came after John. Y'all didn't have no political timetable. Y'all just did what y'all did, right? So why is Trump any different? Fuck that. Is he a candidate in the midterms? No. So that means last time I checked, he's a citizen now. He's a private citizen now. He's no longer the president. Like, stop playing games. If the indictment is going to happen, do it now. All this wait till after the midterm so they can plan another coup. You ever heard some of the little stuff they've been saying in the interviews? I've been hearing it. Lindsey Graham's ass out here talking about folks are going to be rioting in the streets. Why? But y'all was the same party that was talking about Black Lives Matter, no rioting, but people gonna be rioting in the streets if Trump is indicted. Why? Like, these are dog whistles. They about to repeat January 6th again if they don't get it together. Like, stop it. Like, if there's some evidence and it's sufficient, make it happen. Now, even people in his camp, Trump's camp, Alan Dershowitz, he basically says that there is, he said a lot of things, but he basically said that there is enough grounds for an indictment. That's what he's saying. He used to defend this monster when he was impeached the first time, I believe. But I really do think that Donald Trump will be indicted by a federal grand jury. There's a lot of reasons, y'all. Let me just tell y'all. He had possession. Had unauthorized possession of national defense information. This stuff was marked as classified, okay? He was put on notice by the U.S. government that he was not allowed to retain those documents at Mar-a-Lago. Like, this was something he was told. But because he is, who he is, he continued to hold those documents and even allegedly took efforts, okay, to conceal them in different places throughout Mar-a-Lago, okay? So he was even just keeping low. He was trying to keep on the low, right? Up until the FBI finally got a search warrant for him in August. So you all, come on. Like, why are we trying to act like we're trying to play? Maybe not, maybe. They got him. The details are all there. I'm not want to get all up in the mix. But basically, if he would have cooperated and he would have given everything to the government, last year, this would have never been a criminal matter. Like, none of this would have been something that would have been whatever. The DOJ would have not done anything. They would have let it go. No harm, no foul. Like, we know this. But people around him sat up and acted like people, his team, his political operatives, all these folks around him acted like he had this legal precedent not to send over those documents. He did not have that, okay? And even, there's documents out that came out in May that his lawyers wrote in my opinion, a very condescending letter telling them pretty much, what it was. They knew. When that subpoena came to recover that stuff, they tried very much, lied, okay, signed, okay, his lawyers Sworn affidavits reassuring the government. They said there were no classified documents. And then here they are, came up in there, took documents, and it was proven to not be true. So he's lied. It's a lot here. People are trying to figure out, is this an Espionage Act prosecution? Which only, to be clear, requires that the information relate to a national defense, which they could. We don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on, but his people are trying so hard to say this is them, zero in on him, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, he would have done it to Obama if Obama had the same situation. We're not about to sit up here and act like we're not dealing with a ruthless, selfish person with no spine. Like, it is what it is. You can't talk big shit and not walk big shit. So it is what it is for Trump. Like I said, to me, I think there's enough. I think all of us, any lawyer, I got lawyers. Okay, I have lawyer friends, a bunch of lawyer friends, actually. I even got judges as friends, some. Everybody I talk to off the record, well, not naming them who told me this because they don't, politics, but everybody I know who I've talked to in the legal world has told me that none of this is okay, and there is grounds for something bigger. Period. Now, whether or not they want to politicize this or not, or whatever, Merrick Garland, you're do the job. First of all, this is he's over the DOJ, right? Do your job, okay? Because let me remind you that the reason why you're not on the Supreme Court was because Republicans play politics, okay? They play politics to stop you from getting a Supreme Court nomination. Like, to get on the Supreme Court. Like, they didn't even interview you. They didn't even bring you in. They shut it down, okay? Senator Mitch McConnell, was like, no, because he felt some type of way. This was his opportunity to get at them for sacking Robert Bork. But at least Robert Bork had a hearing. At least he had a process. But ever since Bork became a thing, this guy, has always had it out. And so this was his opportunity. And he played it up, right? Said, oh, we can't do it so close to a presidential election. And then look what happened with Amy Barry Cohen, right? Look what happened to Amy Barry Cohen. Look what happened there with her. Look what happened with all of these people who have had these positions. The rules changed then, right? The determination to replace, RBG, like, that was a decision. Like, they didn't have to. They could have let the next president at that time, would be Biden, do it. No. Trump understood the power he had and the wiggle room he had to execute that mission. And Mitch McConnell wasn't going to let anything slide. So I'm looking at you, sir. Don't let anything slide. Get on it. Do it now. Do it today. Period. Okay. So on the topic that I'm super excited about talking about is the student loan forgiveness. Okay. Last week, Biden, he did some unprecedented with the student loan forgiveness plan. This initiative is implemented through executive action. He is basically going to provide up to $20,000 in federal loan cancellation for up to 20 million borrowers. Okay, many of them will receive the relief automatically. Okay, a lot of people have not taken the time to really get into what this is about. And I get it, right? Because there's so many details and so much nuance. But I think a lot of people, when they first heard about this, they were talking about the $20,000 to $10,000 and is it enough? Is it not? Okay, so let me start by saying this. As somebody who went, my undergrad education was completely done through financial aid, full, I didn't have any loans. I got a full ride, scholarship from Penn. I was able to be provided the grants and support to not have to have massive undergraduate student debt. Like, I'm blessed. My husband and I both. Like, we really do not have, when I hear the stories of some of my friends, others, we were fortunate. But those were all based on need-based. And I went to a school that had a huge endowment that provided it based on need, because I couldn't afford to go to Penn. My family didn't have money like that for us to go to Penn. And so we was able to get need-based scholarship and that support. So I'm completely grateful for that and fortunate. Fortunate is the key word. So I'll start by saying that I am not on the team as someone who did not have to pay for loans. I'm not on the team of people who are telling folks that they should have been smarter and they should have been better at it, right? That's just bullshit, right? This whole well, you should have went to a better school or you should have, hustled harder. Or the people who paid off their loans. They're like, this is not fair for the people who pay off their loans. Let me say this to y'all. And this is what I said earlier, but this is gonna put it in full circle. If you're in a position where you can pay off all your student loans, and you made it a point to do that. You decided like you was going to be cheap at dinner parties and you was going to, cut corners and do whatever you was going to do. And you prioritized that and you made that a life goal and tried to make a brand off of it. And you decided to do that. My thing is you were able to do that. And your life, you can move forward with your life, right? Your credit score, everything in between. You don't have the burden, the hassle. You're doing fine. You was able to do it, and therefore you did it. There's millions of Americans in this country who cannot. And to be very clear, like, why do people turn into Republicans overnight, especially men, black men, and other men who have no business adapting in those politics to justify this shit? Let me just say that at any time, why is it that whenever there are resources to help the public welfare of the middle, working class, low income, middle income individuals, that said people from those spaces are the ones antagonizing those? I don't see the same smoke for the billionaires and millionaires, multimillionaires, let me be clear, that are able to, get all these breaks. These PPA loans were not really loans from the jump. They were forgiven the moment they were put in place, which meant that they were never a loan. They were a handout. Okay. And when all these corporations and these businesses took handouts, okay, and many of them are elected officials who also got handouts and support for their shit. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, mind you. Now, this student loan thing is up to 20,000. Motherfuckers was getting millions, okay, in support. So to hear people sit up here and pull the whole, well, what if you was, do you tell those people, well, what if you was running your business right and you didn't need them loans? What if you already had the support you need and you had cushion? What about, you don't hear the whataboutisms over there. So I really personally am not on the team of anybody who's out here able-bodied and able-financed to try to belabor people with this. It's always people getting mad when poor people get things or people who are in need get things. But those who could easily pull themselves up out of bootstraps are necessarily taking advantage of resources the government provide them. And they're entitled to, right? Do they pay taxes? So let me stop them there. The rest of us pay taxes. That's what taxes are for. That's what your taxes go to. It's supposed to support roads being better. You don't sit up and see a broken road and say, well, because I had to walk on this fucked up road for all these years, y'all got to. The fuck? Like, what is this like fraternities again? Like with hazing? Like when they say, look, if I have to get beaten again in this fraternity, then you got to get your ass beaten too. No, sometimes we can just break the curse, break the cycle. And to me, this tax policies and I mean this forgiveness plan is breaking a cycle that should have been addressed for years. Okay? Because from what I know, like it's not even that people are not trying to pay their loans. It's just that the interest and the greed that comes from it don't even allow people to ever get out of paying their loans, right? The interest is ridiculous. It's hella violent. It's hella problematic. And just to hear people whine and complain, like it's just people. This is a very classist, elitist country, and the gag is being perpetuated by people who are not really in those positions to be that way. But like that's what we've learned. Media has trained us to hate poor people, and pop culture, right? To hate poor people, to hate people who need financial support, right? The shame of those people too, and to aspire to be billionaires and millionaires who actually use that support all the time, disproportionately more than us, to get their feet wet and to get support, right? The irony is that we're the working class, people at the very, very bottom are trying to embrace an idea of doing it all by themselves while struggling. But the people at the top, none of those people have gotten that support. So as somebody who's emerging, right, doing my thing, I'm telling you that I was able to utilize resources to make sure that I wouldn't be in debt. I wasn't going to play this game of I'm not going to take out any student loans or endowments. I'm just going to work my way. Like, what kind of shit is that? No, not in a school when I know that many of the kids that go to my undergrad 50-50, many of them are going to Penn straight with no loans, no financial aid assistance at all. Their parents are dropping $250,000 for them to attend that school. Like what? Well, that is not even a good like that is already a setup, right? If I did not have the financial systems to try to play that game, what are we doing here? If you need help, get fucking help. Why, this is a country that is drunk off of resources and benefits, and the people that need them the most have shame in getting them, and then those who are seeking relief are getting shamed by those who have the relief themselves for people who don't. What are we doing? Make it make the fuck sense. There's no logical argument for you to be a hater right now with people that's trying to get some type of student loan debt relief. I just don't understand why you're a hater. For people that are criticizing against it, talking about some congratulations, we paid for this. We paid for a lot of things. Okay? Our taxes are paying for a ridiculous military budget that is just going out of control. My taxpayers' dollars fund a police system that is exponentially killing black and brown people in these communities. But you know what? I mean, we pay for it, right? We paid Philadelphia in our tax dollars, okay, police department to be able to tear gas people and not one of them have a criminal charge. Like, we paid, okay, generations of Philadelphians paid taxes to a system that allowed them to drop a bomb on civilians' property, okay? Like, spare me on what taxpayers' dollars have paid for that does not justify. This is the least of your fucking worries. If anything, this is probably the best use of taxpayers' dollars for a minute to take care of people who are funding the economy. Fuck out of here. Like I've been wanting to say this like this whole week, and I've been seeing people online, and I'm side-eyeing them. That was really good. I need to have a sip. Because let me say this. I'm going to add this part to it. Because I really want to be clear. There's a lot of different things happening. The applications are not out yet, but a lot of education department officials are going to start putting out an application. They said by early October. So a lot of good things are coming in the fall. But let me say this about this student loan forgiveness plan. It is a one-time opportunity. They confirmed that this is a one-time opportunity, so borrowers should not expect this to happen again. That's unfortunate, because I was really hoping that they would do something again. But you know what? Just in time before the midterms, let me say this. I've heard some people where I get it, right? I get that this is quote-unquote not enough and that they should eliminate cancel student debt across the board. I personally think that they should do that, right? Of course. But here's what I will say, because some people, there is privilege even within these levels. There's a lot of people that are just upset, right? And they're saying things like, oh, this is going to impact anybody, and this is not enough, and this is not this. I want to say all of those things are true. However, what we cannot do is, well, partially true. What we cannot do is we cannot erase and really deny that as much as people are pissed off that they are not walking around with a $0 balance, and I get it, what we cannot do is act like people are not being impacted by this in the right ways. I mean, some people are upset that $10,000 got off, and some people maybe are upset that only 20,000 is off. But to be very clear, there are a lot of people who in this country do not accumulate a lot of debt, but are swallowed by it. And I'm thinking about, and I know some people, in my family, in my circle, in my friend circles and networks, that when this announcement came, they broke down and cried. Tears of joy. For several reasons. One is that, I don't know if people saw this got buried in news, but Biden's people said that they were going to forgive people who were impacted by ITT Tech, which was this, they paid to go to school to get this certificate or I don't know if it was a degree, but like basically to get certification. And ITT Tech was this big thing back in the day. Like people that grew up, working class, go home, you see those TV commercials. Remember them TV commercials? Every time it was like ITT Tech, get ITT Tech, get your skills now. People got scammed. Lots of working class people, black, brown, and in between, got scammed by ITT Tech. They really sat there and did the programs and wanted to get it, because a lot of them were young people who were high school dropouts or people who just didn't go to college, right? And they need to get technical skills, so they thought. So they got in and enrolled in, right? They couldn't get into somebody's college. And let's be clear about college, right? And admission to college. College only takes a select few. A lot of people who are not going to college, it's not that they can't go to college because they're not smart. There's so many reasons. If you have a criminal record, it's hard to get into a university, a 4-year university for that matter. It's hard to get into certain schools. Okay, like people don't even think about, like, there's a lot of barriers for people to get into college for different reasons. And so I know people who had something on their criminal record, had a situation, and they couldn't go to college based off of the record alone. Like that was a deal breaker. Like a lot of people, like I need some folks that even in the midst of this issue, checking your privilege. So a lot of people got ITT Tech. A lot of people got all these other programs and got into these different things. And these things were scams. They took these people's money. These people got swallowed up in debt. Some of them didn't even finish the program. Some of them did, but they still had to pay off. And you're talking about people who are literally at the bottom, right? So loans that they had, some of those loans accumulated, right, to $4,000 or $5,000. And when you probably making less than 30,000 a year, let's be real. There's some people out here who's making less than 30,000 a year that do not have grants and other family resources. It's like really like getting into the dire trenches, right? People use the word broke a lot, and I've seen people use this in different contexts. But like I've said to some folks, you got to broaden your understanding about what that looks like and what that means. These people were sitting up here like, and I know a person from high school that shared this on their timeline, this experience. And there's a lot of people who did ITT Tech that did not go to college, did not have those opportunities, and was getting scammed. Biden basically said that all of those ITT Tech loans were forgiven. People was impacted by that shit, which was lots of people, right? And some people won't even say it out loud because it was a shame. They got those loans forgiven after several years of the interest building and building. And people don't understand, it builds. That interest is sick. It is sickening. That shit builds, sometimes doubles, and keep people in a financial loop. It's scary. It's sad. And that to see people get that off. There are people I know that have that burden off of them. That's one. Second part, the people who did actually get into college, whether it was community college or just 4-year college. I know people who took loans to get in. First year, first semester, that college wasn't for them. They realized quickly, I can't do this, or there was something else to do, right? A family emergency, life happens, different things. They drop out. They still got to pay those loans. So there are people who got the degree or the master's or the doctorate, whatever thing, right? And they got jobs some of them got decent paying salary jobs. I mean, one would hope. Where they got money where they can pay the loans. They have money. They're making a gainful salary where they can pay the loans, and they're just mad that they have to pay them. That's very different than somebody who did not even get a bang for the buck and stuck, right? And just completely stuck. And so when they found out that and let me also say this, people with Pell Grants, people gotta say, a lot of Black and brown people that went to college benefited from Pell Grants. So when he said that if you have Pell Grants, you get 20,000. I saw a massive sweep of my friends, my Black friends who went to college that were on financial aid in different ways, that when they said Pell Grants, they were shook. They were like, oh my God, I'm getting 20,000 off. I'm not getting 10,000. They're getting 20,000 off, which is a big, nice little piece of chunk of change. So if you got $80,000 in debt or whatever, you get it 25% taken care of off the grip. And then there's other interest situations that apparently the interest, or if you're somebody that's been paying during the pandemic, you can get your money back and still allow that to be canceled. So there's all kind of nuances that are actually going to free people up. Some people are going to benefit financially. Some people are going to indirectly benefit from the interest situation, but there is a lot of opportunity here. Is it the most comprehensive, the best thing ever? I don't know, depending on who you talk to. Some people say no. Is it enough? To some people, it's not. But I'm just thinking about, I mean, in this situation, I just want to be clear that when I've heard a lot of people on social media just act like nothing's changing, nobody's impacted, I got to talk up and speak up and just have to say, please, y'all, for my folks with Ivy degrees and Big Ten school degrees and all your resources and stuff, there are times where the tone deafness kicks in and your privilege kicks in a way that shields you from being able to empathize and recognize other people. There is victories happening for some other folks that do not look like you or in your spaces, and I just want to be clear and sensitive to that because on my end, maybe y'all just don't know enough people that don't come, that don't, a lot of people want to do, there's a lot of activists, and there are a lot of activists and community organizers that I'm sometimes like, are you really in the community? Are you, not saying are you black enough? I'm not questioning who's racial identity or anything. I'm just saying, are you really in the community? Because if you are, you should have been able to see how some people succeeded in this and benefited in this. And there's a lot of folks, and I'm talking about these white progressives, where y'all out here on this student council debt movement. I hear all that, but when y'all was making these blanket ass statements on Twitter, I'm like, do you know any black people that's been impacted? Do you know different black people who's been impacted? Not just your friends who went to Ivy League schools and 4-year schools that also have these issues. Are you talking to folks that's in trade schools that got fucked over by places like ITT Tech? Are you talking to people who may have dropped out of college or 2-year schools or whatever that did not get support, that got massive interest, and that when this Pell Grant announcement came out, do you know people who got Pell Grants? Because if you're not like engaging the nuance of those individuals in this conversation, and it's just a simple conversation of a bunch of smart to do folks that got debt and they're mad, then that's how you allow the GOP and the right to alienate this movement and make it about a bunch of East Coasters or coastal elites, right? That's mad and want everybody to pay for their debt. We gotta expand the conversation and not let that be the conversation, because there are people, working class people, and a lot of people who are not in that type of hub that benefits from this type of this loan forgiveness plan. And to me, I think that this first thing that Biden did, I think this was to clear everybody who did not do the 4 years and got the degrees. I think this was a massive improvement for the non-degree folks impacted by college loan debt. This was a sweeping benefit for the folks in the system, in the debt system, that never walked away with those degrees and those certificates, or did and were scammed, right? This is what this is about. Now, the next chapter, I believe, will be and should be about what happens to the people, right? The black and brown folks that are first-time college graduates, or the black and brown folks who are that didn't come from generational wealth, right? These folks, right, that got these advanced degrees, that got this support and were burdened with the loans. That's the next frontier to me. And if you want to talk about what reparations look like, it could look like partially supporting black folks involved in this and black folks who are out here getting fucked over by government assistance across the board. But that's the second chapter. I am personally happy to see that a massive group of people that was impacted by student loans, that didn't get the degrees, that got scammed, I'm happy that they are seeing some massive relief. Like, this is taken off of their shoulders, man. I think a lot of people understand that there are people out here with $15,000 in debt that are making double that in salary and don't have any chance or potential or hope for upward mobility. Like, they don't have a chance to get a terminal degree that can secure them even more money. Like, there's just so much to it, and I get it. It's frustrating. Loans are frustrating. I want to empathize though, but I just don't want us as a community, as a collective, to miss some of the other impacts and ripple effects of what this did. So when we're talking about it, let's say I am happy for those people who were deeply at the bottom, because this really impacts the people at the bottom of this, right? The folks who will never get on Twitter and tweet about it because they don't have time to. The folks that don't have, the ability to say all this and then, be drinking, glasses and having parties. Like, it's just a difference. And I think it's all going to work out in the end. I'm trying to be optimistic about it. But I also think that, like I said, it's all the work, all the benefits, it's going to pay off. Everybody just Just hear me out here. Just hear me out here. Um, yeah. I was just, one of my friends, a really close friend of mine, they're excited. They had gotten into some debt, I think, around community college, and they qualified for Pell Grants at that time, but the interest and stuff they had, now all of that is being washed away. And now that there are some community colleges that are now becoming more accessible and free, they're now not having to be burdened with the tuition costs that they previously did have to. So there's some opportunities. I'm just thinking about them right now. I'm keeping them close to me. All right, all right. Another topic. Speaking of possible scams and scammeries and all that, Talcum X. Okay, well, Sean King. He is in the news, y'all, again. And you all saw my big tweet talking about a lot of the things that is happening over there in Sean King world. So, for starters, I mean, where do I start? I haven't talked about this man in a minute, and for good cause. I mean, honestly, I was trying to I just knew he was just going to flow into obscurity, but clearly he hasn't. But I'll tell you, the New York Post is on that ass. Um, so there's been a lot of stuff this summer with him. I mean, there was a lot of stuff about critiques about how he has basically tried to dox journalists that has criticized him. We all know about that, right? We all been through that, haven't we now? But also, there's been a lot of other controversy that's come up. So for starters, there was reports that he got a $40,000 guard dog with funds he raised for the organizations he leads. But 40, you know what I'm saying? 40, you're talking about $40,000 for a guard dog. He claims he needed this because he couldn't get a gun and that he needed to protect themselves from his property and things. So now he's using a lot of mass hysteria to scare people. So now you got an $800,000 something house that you needed to protect yourself. Now you're buying a $40,000 guard dog with these funds. Like, where does it stop? Oh, it doesn't stop. You remember that lawsuit I told you about last year? Because we've been covering Sean King a lot on this podcast. He had that one with him and Larry Krasner and Carlos Vega, who was the failed DA candidate who ran against Krasner last year. Well, they had their whole beef and their drama and everything like that. Well, Sean King and his PACs have spent over $500,000 of social justice donations to fight this libel suit. Okay, because both King and the organization he co-founded, Real Justice PAC, are both being sued by Carlos Vega. Okay, now Vega accused King, according to the New York Post, he accused King of spreading false statements about his law enforcement career to get Krasner elected. So he says some deep shit. Now, the public records show that Real Justice PAC and another group that King founded, which is called the Grassroots Law PAC, has spent at least $524,000 on legal bills to defend the case. So far, the amount represents more than 30% of the $1.7 million in donations the two groups have received in 2021 and 2022. The records show $1.7 million. People are still giving them money. Wow. Well, the Real Justice PAC and the Grass Law PACs are affiliated. They're affiliated political action committees that work to help try to get progressive prosecutors and end aggressive policing. That's what they say they do. Krasner, Real Justice PAC, they've endorsed Kim Fox, they've endorsed George Gassman in LA, and they also endorsed, of course, Larry Krasner. So there's a lot of people who've donated money to them. I mean, billionaires, just Dustin Moskovitz and his wife apparently donated $2.6 million to Real Justice PAC since 2017, which is when it was founded. It's a lot. It's a lot. And they've been sharing all of the information that's been going on. I mean, there's been a lot of concerns. People have said dark money groups tied to billionaire Democratic supporter George Soros, gave $100,000 to him in 2019 to the Real Justice PAC. A lot of money been going to the Real Justice PAC, and yet this man has spent $40,000 for a guard dog named Mars. Which he claims he needs to protect his family from quote unquote white liberal white supremacists, is what he said. Oh, Sean King. But just when you thought that was already enough, I received some information, and it has not been discounted. I received some information that really, you know, it was the tea. But it's been circulating on social media. Other people have also shared similar correspondence. Now, there is the Office of the Attorney General, the Division of Consumer Affairs in the state of New Jersey, are allegedly they are investigating Sean King's clothing line. Now, there's an email that's been going around. An investigator with the New Jersey Division of Consumer Affairs, they said it was brought to their attention that you have had or at least have heard of issues involving purchases from the website www.arealone.com. A real one. People said are alone, but it's a real one. That's the clothing line. If this is correct, would you mind sending me a phone number so that I may call you to discuss this? Now, that's what's being circulated. They blocked the name, right? Nobody wants to know who the name of the person could be or who it is, the investigator or whatnot. But there is a lot of people looking into this. Now, from what I understand, and this is the information that I'm sharing here, a real one is a fashion line, clothing line by Sean King. It's been in scrutiny the moment it came out. People have questioned. I think there was times where they were talking about the materials, whether the materials came from Africa. He was using clip art or photo art and stuff that was already pre-produced, but it was giving off the impression that this was him in Africa taking these pictures, but these pictures were already used for other things. There was some controversy around the fact that some people took the photos, they sold the photos to him, he bought the photos, he used the photos to describe how the stuff is being made. That was also very sketchy. But then outside of that, there was allegations of people have been public online. There's articles, you can look it up. Newsweek did a story on it, that they were claiming that they had purchased these products, shirts and things of him. There's some hoodies of him for like a ridiculous amount of money of him smoking a blunt. Like someone paid for that. But anyway, they were saying they didn't get the stuff that they paid for. And there were some people that said that when they tried to, go on social media and make this complaint or get on the pages, he was blocking them or the account was blocking them, and that there are people who still don't know where it is. Now, he claims that, there were some hiccups, but, they did everything they could. Now, this is what Sean King had told the press, or his spokesperson put out. As of right now, he said he wasn't made aware that such an investigation was happening. That's what the spokesperson for a real one had said to the press, to an outlet that has already been trying to figure out what's going on. Now, the thing about investigations is that if they're investigating, they're not going to they don't disclose until there's a formal case. There might be a case. There might be something here. Maybe not, but there is an investigation. There are people that are possibly looking into this business transaction and also are appearing to reach out to people connected to it. Now, for starters, I have not spoken to investigators myself. I have not done that. They have not reached out to me directly, but they have clearly appeared to have reached out to other people based on the correspondence being sent. My whole thing is that when there's smoke, there's fire. It just seems like every time this man is something, there's always something. And at some point, it just never stops. And it's just like, to anyone that is still giving this man money, I just don't understand why, personally. I just don't. I really don't. I just don't understand why. And it's almost at a point where it's like, we've seen so many other people in this movement space. Not so many, but there has been a substantial amount of notable people who've been caught up in fuckery. And it's always, anytime there's big money and things, it just begins to be like, what? What? So I will tell you this much, and I gotta keep it real, right? There is some people there's a situation that's happened in Delaware County across. A young girl was killed by police in a way that now has led to a big lawsuit. And those officers are, having to go to trial. They've been charged. They've been, they've been put under scrutiny. And Sean King has gotten involved in a certain way that is now alarmed activist groups and community members involving this. And while there has been no reports that he's stolen money, that's not the question. That's never been the concern, because there has been GoFundMe set up, but not by him. What has become an issue, and what I've emphasized to people involved, is that even if said individual isn't scamming, the type of controversy and the type of attention this person brings is a distraction, is polarizing, and alienates people. And oftentimes, no good comes from it in the end because this person cannot get out of their own damn way. And so, that has been told. I've said it verbatim. I don't hide my hands. I do, express thoughts. I want justice for the family in that situation. Clearly that was a situation where an innocent child being killed by law enforcement in a way that was just completely egregious, right? And just disgusting. I just am more passionate about also making sure that justice for that individual does not get caught up in the salaciousness and the distractions of people like Sean King, who will use it as a way to try to, continue to scrub his image and do image repair while he's facing all of this smoke and heat for very stupid decisions he's made. And at some point, you have to be able to recognize there's other ways to amplify a message without using one of the most despicable, disgusting activists. There has to be better ways. It just has to be. And I sometimes think, I just hate how sometimes these moments get politicized in ways that are not going to actually do anything to advance the cause, but just actually, separate people from the cause, turn people away from it, based on a behavior, like, like it's like if you were someone who had a health problem and you wanted some support to get medical bills paid for something, calling Dr. Oz to come help you with this is it's I get people in desperate situations do desperate things, but it's like, is this the best use? Is this the best way? And, situations like that, when people get in these entanglements, when they don't have to, it's just concerning. It's concerning. And you just hope that you don't ever want to be in a position to say, I told you so to someone when it comes to people that get, caught up with certain figures like Sean King. You don't want to be the person to say, I told you so. But as somebody who has followed and has covered this man and has seen different causes and people. When I think about what Tamir Rice's mother said about him when she lost her son, right? And what happened there, I don't see how anybody can keep giving this man a second chance. And I don't want to say it's selfish, but I do think that this will have lasting consequences on how people perceive how individuals interact in the movement spaces and community spaces afterwards, because it's just like somebody like that having that much involvement. Even if just the mere fact that they are using their platform, which has been also used to dox and to troll and to wreak havoc for people, you're using that same platform. That platform is being weaponized in a way to amplify something else. Does this? I hope this makes sense. But I see people who say things like, "Well, at least this person did good here." How many times are we going to at least this happened here? Or, well, they did because basically what it says is, translation is, well, I know this person did this and fuck y'all over, but as far as me and them go, we good. It's like, is that the best way to respond? Is that the best way to do something? I just think, again, people will reveal themselves and show themselves in different ways, and you just have to just hope that they, turn out to be better. Okay. So I've been working on this particular segment for a minute, and it actually bleeds into what I want to talk about: Philadelphia's next mayor. Y'all, September 15th is when council starts. Between now and September 15th, I personally think there will be another shoe dropping or another two shoes dropping. Shoes got to drop soon. It's time. All this bluffing, it's time for some puffing, okay? I'm tired. We want all the smoke. We want to know who is running for mayor in Philadelphia, right? It's just too, I mean, now Alan Dom stepping down was a shoe drop moment, a wake up moment, and we were all kind of like, okay. But I just feel like it's still not enough smoke. We gotta wake it up, people. We gotta get in the groove. Where are the bodies? Like we need to be talking about the shits right now. I just feel like it's still a little soft. But that could change, and I think it is gonna change because, there's a lot on the table right now, right? First of all, Council President Daryl Clark needs to call a special election. He needs to figure out if he's going to call a special election. And if he wants to hold a special election, translation, special elections are for to fill vacancies of the city council people that will probably resign or whatever, right? There's going to be a lot of vacancies, right? If he calls a special election, he would need to do so during the November 8th midterms this year. So a special election will happen while all the general elections are happening for the midterm elections, okay? He would need to call for it at least 50 days prior in order to make on the ballot, which means that would happen around mid-September, just around the same time that just around the same time council is back in session. So all this needs to happen soon. It's real talk business. But I got a new piece that's coming out from Philly Mag that is discussing my predictions and my thoughts about this. So for starters, I'm only talking in this piece about city council candidates. I'm not talking about people outside of city council. I know there are other people who are going to run. But for all the people that's been speculated, I'm giving some predictions early. So people have been talking for a while about Cindy Bass. I personally don't think Cindy Bass is going to do it. Let me just get that out the way. She's the council member of the 8th District, okay, around the Northwest. I don't think Cindy Bass is going to run for mayor. I think there was a moment where it could have been like a maybe, let's see. But that ship has sailed. She's not going to do it for several reasons. I mean, for starters, the Northwest Coalition has like 2 other people running that I think are going to definitely run. She's not one of them. Alan Dom. Now, Alan Dom is a council member at large, right? He's the first to resign. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to do it in the end. He's been exploring it. People in his camp has been talking about it, but I don't see him actually doing it in the end. For starters, I don't know what's going to make him spicy. I mean, it's another rich white guy that might be running, right? Jeff Brown at Fresh Grocer, right? I just don't see, the city doesn't really, to be honest, I don't think the city is going to elect a white man for mayor. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see the city, when it's all said and done, electing another white man for mayor. I think the energy is for women. I think the city wants a woman to be mayor. But if a woman does not get enough energy or support, then we're looking at a black man. We're not going to elect a white woman. I'm sorry, we're not going to elect a white man. A white woman, I think there's a possibility for. But I don't think we're going to elect a white man this section. I could be wrong. But I just feel like after Kenny's 8 years, I think a lot of people are just like, not again. And Dom is going to fall on that. And I also think it's going to impact Jeff Brown. As much as Jeff Brown wants to walk around and do the whole, look, I'm with the black people in the community. I got the black vote. Please, he ain't got the black vote, y'all. Now, Jeff has done some great work in the community, let's be clear. But it's coming off as pandering. And a lot of people in these streets are talking about it. So I don't really know if his moves are right. Like, you could take a bunch of pictures of black people working at your store getting some deals, but that's different than being a mayor of a city. You have no government experience. You've never been elected to any office prior. You have not worked in that space. And I just think it's white privilege, right? For like Trump, right? A rich white man to think that just because they are a businessman, that somehow they're entitled to getting a seat. Now, to Alan Dom's point, Alan Dom has served 2 terms in office. Now, whether or not that was just always a red carpet for him to run for mayor, at least the man put in the time in city council. At least he put in some time. At least he knows how government bills work. Jeff Brown doesn't. So I just don't personally see the hype. Great guy, great businessman in the community. Not taking that from him at all. But you know how you can see somebody and be like, look, I like you for this, but I don't like you for that. That's how I feel about Jeff Brown. Like, not mayor. We got too many real issues going on, and it just should not be, you just should not feel entitled to it. And also, it takes away from the the genuine vibes I did have for him. I always just thought this was just a guy who was in the community, just want to do his thing. I never thought that on the low he had political aspirations. And I feel like with this upcoming city council races that are coming up, there's a couple of people, I ain't gonna name names yet, but there's a couple of people that's been in the community doing their thing, and now they're all trying to run for office. I'm just like, why is everybody trying to run for office? Like, some of you all, I don't get it. I mean, there's some people that's been in this for a minute, and I can respect the service. Like Captain Gilmore Richardson, you can't take that from her. She's been working in government service. That's why her office and the way she runs things, I feel like, is a lot more efficient than some of these other newcomers. Right? You don't hear too many people leaving her office and all this bad energy. She just seems to be running her office smooth. And the people there, right? I just think that that's because that's someone who's worked in government. Like Isaiah Thomas has worked in government. He worked in the city controller's office. He kind of knows how some of this goes down. There's some people that's done that kind of work. You have to do some of that before you try to get up in office. I just think some of these people who are running, I'm looking at them with a side eye. But enough about Jeff. I just don't think Alan's going to do it. Now, my bet is that I think he's going to make sure that his chief of staff, who's a woman, Erin Satamore, gets in good. And if he can secure her a possible special election seat bid or something, that would work that would definitely work in his favor, in her favor. She was a little close. She wasn't too far off from being on city council at large, but she didn't win in the end. But I remember in the very beginning, people talked her up, and she looked like she was a big, she was a big front runner. She worked in another administration. She's worked around, and she's got some government experience. I don't have an issue with her personally, but we'll see if it pays off for her. She's put in the work as chief of staff. I think he's really trying to put her in his seat to be his successor. We'll see. Derek Green, at-large city council member. I think he will definitely run. Derek has definitely been out here, y'all. Like, I've been seeing him out here making a lot of appearances. I think he's definitely going to run. I think he thinks he might be the responsible guy in the race, because a lot of the other candidates running, some of them are polarizing on different fronts. I think he might be the safe bet for some people who, for different reasons, may just want someone that's a little bit just like, he's a good guy. So, like I said, if there was any man that's going to win mayor, that's not a woman in 2023, it's Derek Green. That's the only man I could see that has a chance of winning. I think his chances are very still low. I think the city really wants a woman. But if there was any man that was going to do it, it's not going to be Alan Dom. It's not going to be Jeff Brown. It's going to be Derek Green. If the city goes in the direction of a man. Maria Cornel Sanchez. I definitely think she's running. I think she's running. She does not care about any of you all telling her, well, where's the money going to come from, and can she really pull it off? Look, she's an underdog. She's been always bucking against the Democratic establishment for years, okay? And she's just been keeping it up going. She's a survivor. She's a fighter, and people love that. And at the end of the day, what does she got to, she ain't got to prove to anybody. She is the undefeated rebel. And honestly, it would be cool to have, it would be interesting, right? We would have a Latino woman of color, a Latino woman elected, right? The first Latino ever to be mayor of Philadelphia, the first woman. History be made across all fronts in that situation. So it's an exciting run. We'll see what happens. But, I also know that I've heard that she has a staffer, allegedly, that is potentially interested in it. But a big question would be, would the Democratic establishment actually pick her? Like, that's the real question. Will they actually pick her when it's all said and done? We'll have to figure it out. Cheryl Parker is definitely running. That's just, again, these are my predictions. Come on. I've heard rumors that SCIU is going to back her. I hear about a lot of unions. They're gearing up. Ryan Boyer, he did that big profile. I did a profile here for Philadelphia Magazine. That's in the September issue. Now on newsstands, get it and read it, y'all. But seriously, I definitely think that she's definitely going to run. And I also think she is a front runner. She's not the front runner, but I think she is definitely a front runner in that race. I honestly think she has big Eric Adams energy, and that's not a compliment. But I think that if the progressives don't get their shit together, Philadelphians will get caught up in identity politics, and she will be like the Kamala Harris in this race, where people will just go, oh, a black woman, I'm going to vote for her. I've noticed that it's going to be hard for a lot of people. Now, let me say this. My concerns with Cheryl Parker and her policies have been around policing. I mean, did y'all not hear about her police policy lately? Some of her policies, I mean, she's very, very aggressive towards progressive. She's very much, she really, you know, it's just, and the sad part is that I have had conversations with her about some of the comments she makes about progressives and say, listen, just say white people because I'm progressive. You're not talking about me when you're saying this stuff. Just say white people because you're going to alienate certain people if you go super super hard on a particular demographic, but also too like some of these issues you talk about, like there is some common ground, and I just don't think she sometimes has done a good job of messaging that. And you know, she comes from the Democratic establishment. I mean, she is she is. When you think of the Democratic establishment, you think of people like Daryl Clark. You think of people like her. Like you think of Miriam Tasco. Like you think of people like that. Like she is that. Like she is the establishment like candidate, and she is definitely rocking with the police. I would not be surprised if she's also the FOP pick. Like I'm just telling y'all, stay woke because it reminds me of New York where all these progressives and folks was trying to run, and then the moderate, you know, that framed themselves as being hip and cool one, which is Eric Adams. I can see Cheryl Parker trying to make herself hip in a way that will appease these moderates and these black folks who really don't really like us, progressives, young people, right? There's some energy there, and there's a lot of labor and union people that might be getting behind her. So stay woke and stay vigilant on that because because what they'll do is they'll say in the name of history, the same way they told us that Daniel Outlaw was history. Ooh, a black woman police commissioner, and then what did she do? Tear gas all these folks and all kind of other shit that went rampant in that damn department. I'm just saying, you know, identity politics aside, let's use our noggins. Let's stay woke. That's all I'm saying on it. But she is, in my opinion, definitely going to run. And I definitely think that people see her as a likely front runner right now because of everything going on behind the scenes. So, you know, progressives wake up. Now, last but not least, when I'm talking about city council, Helen Gim, at-large council person, you know, look, the money is there, the numbers are there, the popularity is there. But for some reason, I still think it's up in the air. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. There's something just I think Helen Gim is behind the scenes. Her team is trying to figure out how do they make her exciting in this race. Which she could be making history, right? Like Maria Canela Sanchez, the first Asian mayor of Philadelphia, the first Latino mayor of Philadelphia. All three. Sherelle will not be the first black mayor. Clearly, we've had three before her: John Street, Wilson Good, Mayor Nutter. Not in that particular order. Just remember my three black mayors. But she's also the first black woman, and black woman distinction is very much a big thing right now. But when I'm looking at Gim would be the first Asian and also could be the first woman. So you have these historic races. I mean, to what I know, we're going to have a black woman, an Asian woman, a Latino woman, and a white woman running for mayor. That's four different ethnicities. I mean, four different races, four different women. I'm curious to see what happens, right? But again, Helen doesn't have, I don't know. Helen doesn't seem to have anything that's going to make her unique enough. I mean, she's going to be the progressive candidate. I mean, she'll state herself as the progressive candidate, but there's other progressives that are running, arguably. I don't know how she shapes herself to run. To be quite honest, part of it is that she does also have to run for mayor, right? She has the kind of power that she could run for Congress to join the squad. Like, she doesn't really have to actually do Philly mayor. And kind of, in a way, I'm kind of like, well, what would she want to do in that position? Like, does she really want it? I don't know. And if there's other unions and certain support systems, like going to other candidates, many of which were oftentimes connected to Working Families Party, I don't know how they're going to shake up these endorsements and consider these factors. It's really interesting, y'all, because I don't know if people have really been studying what's been going on with Reclaim and Working Families Party, but there's some issues. Reclaim is having a meltdown, and we're going to see that bleed out into the city council race. I'm going to be quiet about it right now, but stay woke on that issue. But when we're talking about Working Families Party right now, right, they got some issues too, because I know on the state level with the state committee and the board, there's like delegates and crops and things divvied up. SEIU has a huge, huge stake in the state Working Families Party and really has a large
a control about who goes forward. Hence why Malcolm Kenyatta was the push candidate and why he ended up getting SEIU's endorsement because they were also connected to working families. But like I don't know how that's going to shape up if SEIU is actually going to be backing Sherelle Parker on the low, how that's going to impact how Working Families Party show up. I don't know because the politics don't match the endorsements. Now, SEIU, their politics seem to be confusing me right now. But Working Families Party, I don't know. And then you also got to remember, Ryan Boyer, the laborers, right? All of those building trades, these people are a part of that. Those youths are part of that. So it's looking a little messy. And I don't know. I mean, the education issue, yes, it's big. We still care. But I just know there's a lot of other candidates that's also preaching that education gospel. I just don't know. A lot of people in city council do not like Helen Gim. I don't know who's in city council that is going to be rocking with her outside of Kendra Brooks and Jamie Gautier. And to be quite honest, both of them need to be worried about their races because they're hella vulnerable. Like Gautier is very vulnerable right now. Kendra Brooks has to make sure she can get the money up to actually to win re-election. They're not going to have the energy to push for Helen if they got their own shit. It's just a lot of variables to factor in. So quite frankly, if she was smart, she would either run for re-election for city council at large. She will win. Use the energy to save Gautier and Kendra Brooks and make sure they get elected. Probably get another Working Families candidate party person to knock out David O if she's really determined. Set that up for success. Run for Congress in the next, year and a half. And everybody wins. Like, to me, that would be the strategy if I was her team. But I think they're undecided. But I will tell you this much. If she does decide to run for mayor, she's probably, in my opinion, going to pull a last-minute Kenny thing. Like when Kenny in 2015 or whatever decided to announce very, very at the end. That was after Gerald Clark and a lot of people backed out. So they needed him to defeat Williams because they treat Williams like he's Darth Vader. But they might actually... I could see a scenario that sets up Helen Gim for success if in that way. But other candidates are going to be in the race. This is going to be a crowded race. So her coming in late does not do her a service, especially when there's other people who have more money than her that are also making significant moves. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this politically plays out. But, like I always tell people, grab your popcorn and your bingo card because we're in for one hell of a ride. So, I'm going to breeze through some of these things quickly. Irv Gotti and Ashanti, y'all been asking me to talk about this. I was trying to avoid it because I just was like, Irv went on Drink Champ, showed his ass. But now there's the Murder Inc. documentary that went on BET, which, BET, why did y'all air this? But for starters, everyone's talking about the situation with Irv Gotti and Ashanti. I'm going to keep it all the way 100. There's been some debate about ages. I'm so tired of you all acting like the moment someone turns 18, that's okay for some 30-something, 40-something-year-old man to bust the move. Let's stop talking about... Let's talk more about grooming, y'all. Let's talk about predator behavior and creep behavior that isn't defined around legality of things, but also in the power dynamic of things. Okay, so in this documentary, Irv Gotti, who cannot keep Ashanti's name out of his mouth because, of course, she's a gorgeous Libra like myself, he basically said, because she did not say this, told the story of how he met her, that he had been crushing on her. She was working under the Murder Inc. label. She was like 19 to 20, I think she was like 19, 20 years old. When she was at Murder Inc., he was crushing on her, and then he decided to shoot his shot one day, grabs her by the butt and kisses her. First of all, not okay. What are you doing? You don't know her. What you just decided to just take this and know it's yours? Really? That's not cute. That's creepy. That's fucked up. But then also, he was married at the time. And, she, of course, eventually leave him for a better looking man, but also another problematic man, Nelly, who, come on, look at Irv and look at him. Come on, are we serious? But, she leaves him, and he has been now feeling comfortable to reveal this. Now, I had heard whispers many years ago that Irv Gotti and Ashanti had a thing at the time. But, to be real with you, what we got to understand is the dynamic of the industry back in the day. That was 20 years ago. And, this is before Me Too. This is before we had these conversations. But it's not uncommon. We think about Aaliyah and R. Kelly. We think about so many women in the industry back then who got in these situations. It's a power dynamic. This man had this young woman's career in his hands. He was in his 30s. He was married. He was established. He was rich. He had a record label. He had the ability to determine her success. And of course, she poured her soul into her music and in between. And I think in many ways, had she rejected him, how would he retaliate? Because given how he's acting now, bitter and salty that she's moved on, could you imagine what would the situation have been of her career in those advances? Do women really have agency and choices in those situations? I mean, more so now maybe, but like when you think about Lotto and these women talking about how there are producers and certain rappers and celebrities that will, yield their influence and power to get things from these women, whether it's sex or other types of exchanges. It's a power dynamic that's being used. And this is the same thing that Harvey Weinstein did, that Bill Cosby was accused of doing, that other men have done. Like, it's so many of them, right, that do this. And so Irv Gotti just basically put himself, or they call him Perv Gotti now, has basically came out to be a total creep. Like, you basically, I mean, but you know what? What we need to be real about, like, loving hip hop, which I watched the show. The seasons have definitely toned this down, but when they first started, they played up a lot of the narratives of these men in the industry being creeps. Like, why are we acting like there was not a creep squad? Like, why are we not acting like Rich Dollaz was not always trying to bang every new artist that was coming in trying to get a song? Like, look at what happened to Erica Mena, with Rich Dollaz. Like, look at like all the shit that was going on with Stevie J and Jocelyn. Jocelyn was very young when she met Stevie. Stevie was established. The way that he was like, I'm going to send you back to the strip club, as much as we thought all that was funny and Stevie stuff, that was the dynamic that was actually shaping it. A lot of these men, the reason why they can't even talk about Irv Gotti is because they were all doing the same thing. And nobody wants to talk about the Beyonce Jay-Z elephant in the room. All I'm saying is that Beyonce and Jay-Z met at a very, very, the age gap and listen. Somebody said Miss Tina wasn't having that. All I'm saying is that when they met, that age, people keep trying to figure out that age. But what we know is she was in her teens. Teens as in 18, 19, And Jay-Z was very much so in his early 30s. And given what we have heard and the allegations around Jay-Z and Foxy Brown, given what we've heard about, Aaliyah and Dame. There's a lot of age. It's just a lot. Again, y'all, this was the 90s and the 2000s. Let's not act like this was not on par. This was normal. Look at Tommy Mottola and Mariah Carey. Like, come on, y'all. Wake up. Some of y'all faves were in situations that may not have been kosher. Now, they make it through and things work itself out, but it's kind of like, we gonna really act like, like I love Celine Dion and R.I.P. Renee, but remember Renee and her and the way that went down. She loves him, then she loved him, and he's, but again, those power dynamics, they don't sit well with me. And I think when you're in situations where there are power dynamics in that way, I know some people in Philadelphia in the scenes, it's the certain circles I'm in, where I'm seeing these disjointed power dynamics in relationships. It's just, it can be legal, but that don't still make it right. And that's what I'm going to say on that. Now, the VMAs, Video Music Awards, I watched them. I did not like it. I did not like the show, y'all. I can't even fake it. I didn't like the show. I did not. I just thought it was very boring. 3 hours. And, I was putting stuff in boxes. Mr. Johnson, I was packing. It was just boring. It was just so much fluff. And it was just not good. Jack Harlow and all his black friends. Okay, LL Cool J looked good. Cute looking old head. But like, Nicki Minaj's VMA performance was a disaster. Video Vanguard Award, she did not deserve. I'm going to say it all here now. Like, Video Vanguard Award, okay, she made a bunch of music videos, but like, was her videos really like culture shaping moments? Anaconda, perhaps. But Nicki is just an artist who's made a bunch of music videos. That's it. Like, I don't know. I feel like VMAs this year was the biggest I mean, they've been doing it, but the biggest exhibit of payola I've ever seen. Even for people I like, okay? But like, I mean, they really like are giving awards to people that they can guarantee will show up for them. Right? They say it's fan voted. These awards are voted by fans. And trust me, I can tell because they have no taste. Harry Styles getting album of the year over Adele, and mind you, Beyonce was in the category, but that was because the album came after the consideration period. But like, there was so many other albums that could have won album of the year. Harry Styles album of the year. Okay, VMAs. Like again, they played it up for ratings. Like Nicki's performance, Nicki winning best rap video for the umpteenth time for "Do We Have a Problem?" Really? I mean, you had Kendrick Lamar's N95 video that was way more, meaningful than that. I mean, it's just obvious that again, they played up. Red Hot Chili Peppers won a global award, even though they've had many allegations around sexual misconduct. I just don't. And then Johnny Depp. Yes, that was Johnny Depp as the Moon Man voice. Why? 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 We didn't need it. We didn't need it. We didn't need it. We did not need it. But again, VMAs, I feel like was playing it up for clout. They were playing it up for attention. They wanted to have buzz. But it's just have declined. And it's been declining for the past year. Like my bestie Jamarcus, we used to love award shows, okay? I remember the days when Rihanna used to perform and Beyonce gave us the was shut down the night. I mean, we don't have those anymore. And the lack of Beyonce's presence was felt, okay? Because first of all, I'm happy she not performed there. And I really hope that unless they have whispered in her ear and told her she's getting album of the year at the Grammys, that she can say fuck the Grammys too. Because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of y'all doing it. Like last time she won all her Grammys, she won more Grammys and she didn't even perform that night. She didn't even do Savage with Meg Thee Stallion, which I would have liked her to do. But I did appreciate the WAP performance with Cardi B and her. That was great. Between Meg and Cardi when they did WAP. That was epic. But like Beyonce, unless you know on the low you get an album of the year, perform. If you're not getting it, don't even waste your time to save these people's ratings. I'm tired of it, okay? I'm tired of black women having to save these things. Like, she does not need to be saving the show. Now, Nicki's performance did not save the show. And I noticed that she did not thank, okay? Okay, her husband. She kept his name out of the conversation. And he was not visibly there. Now, he might have been there, but he was not visibly there. I am telling you, that took me for a loop. But I think that's her PR team is like, listen, this is your big night. They don't want it to be marred in any controversy. Because she's been hit with controversy left and right. And, it's interesting because the industry is just trying to act like they don't know what's going on. Okay. But she tried to play, I don't know. Last night was just weird. Last night was just super, the VMAs was just super weird. The awards didn't make any sense. I mean, Taylor Swift was there, which I knew if she showed up, that she must have been getting something. Because Taylor Swift also don't show up unless she get an award. I'm just happy that she's no longer like faking and pretending that she's won. Because that used to get on my nerves. Big Taylor Swift fan, but it used to get on my nerves when she would just act so surprised that she was winning these things. Like as if they did not tell her, go to the front row, you're going to be winning some things. I mean, she won Video of the Year, which now makes her the only artist in VMA history to win 3 Album of the Year. Grammy, she's the only female artist to win, solo artist to win 3 albums a year. But she's the only artist in VMA history to win 3 Video of the Year awards now. Because the previous people who had it was her for 2 wins were her, Beyonce, Rihanna, and Eminem. She's won 3. She won for Bad Blood. She won for You Need to Calm Down. And now she's won for All Too Well, the 10-minute version. I guess. This year in music videos really sucked. So... I guess in a year that didn't really have that many good music videos, I guess. I guess. But the big news was that she used the opportunity, right, to announce that she has a new album coming out, which I'm excited about, called Midnights, on October 21st. So as you can see, the fall is about to get lit. 13 songs. Taylor Swift's favorite number is 13. The album's called Midnights, and it is 13 songs that are inspired by midnights in her life, throughout her life. I'm excited. Her last 2 albums have been phenomenal. And even her versions of her past albums have been wonderful. But we're waiting for the 1989 Taylor's version. Like, when is that coming? We need it. I guess it's going to come out next year, hopefully. Red came out. I guess she was riding out Red. Red is gonna be 10 years old this year. We're getting old, y'all. The 10th anniversary of Red. But she's dropping this new album. This is her 10th studio album. 10th studio album. Taylor Swift out here dropping these albums. So yeah, Midnights, October 21st. I cannot wait. That was the best announcement to come out of it. But to me, honestly, there was two major things that stood out to me that I liked. Jack Harlow wasn't a fan. LL Cool J was cute. Nicki Minaj being a host. These three host things, that was corny. Lil Nas X dressing out and dressing up was great. That was cool. But here's the things that stood out to me the most. Bad Bunny. That Yankee Stadium packed arena. Let me tell you something. Bad Bunny, go ahead, okay? I just like that. The one thing I did appreciate is this appreciation for international artists and music and sound, Spanish and Asian artists getting spotlights. I thought that was probably one good thing I could say with the VMAs. The other thing was Lizzo performing. Her performance was great. New song To Be Loved off the album. The album to me was kind of mid personally, sonically, but like Lizzo. But that song To Be Loved is a banger on its own. She got Max Martin on it, okay? So it's a hit. She's got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. This Errol Spears guy was coming for her weight. This has been old black comedian from Mad TV back in the day, 20 years past his prime. Honestly, it's like, that's the thing about Lizzo, right? We can't even talk about Lizzo's music and have a constructive conversation about Lizzo because Lizzo has to deal with all the other bullshit from motherfuckers that just won't sit the fuck down. Like, I can't even, even with Meg Thee Stallion, right? Like, I was talking to one of my besties about, like, Traumazine. And, I like to treat a real listener to music and have real feedback. But because these two women are getting hit hard on so many other things, you just can't even talk about the music because they're dealing with so much and you just have to just stand for them regardless. Like, I just think Lizzo should exist and Lizzo should be who she is. And she's, listen, she's great. And yeah, it's just, so her getting up on that stage and talking her shit. And she just recently got engaged from her high school sweetheart. I think he went to Elif Elsik High School. Okay, another Houstonian. She's been with this guy for a minute. She's engaged. She's living her best life. She's gorgeous. She's doing her thing. That was cute. And her speech was nice. And her performance was one of the better performances of the night. Most of the performances were just dry as fuck. But she was doing her thing and making it work. So that was definitely a highlight for me, personally. But the rest of the show is just dry. I don't know what they're doing. I really don't know what this industry is doing. I really don't know what the plan is moving forward with these artists. But what do I know? Overall, it was just not good. I'll give it 2 out of 10 stars. Yeah, it was that bad. Ugh. But go see who won awards, though. Okay? Like, spot the black folks who won, because it was barely, which is also another thing. Like, anyway. Let me see. Carisha, please. Okay, so I'm just going to be brief on this because I was talking about this. I'm just over this era of, there's a lot of people doing this right now, actually, and this brings me to Harry Styles. There's a lot of cishet people that are dabbling and playing up queer aesthetics and identities to try to spice up their personality. This has been done before in music. We remember when Nicki Minaj was all about, acting like she wanted a girl. I'm getting over it. I'm over it. Like Meg Thee Stallion, but I'm over it. I'm over all this oh, I could get a girl and none of you are dating girls. Like this whole, I'm going to play up this lesbian thing to be whatever, but it's like giving porno lesbian performance. It's not actually, now I would say, Meg is an ally for sure, right? I definitely know that. But Carisha, right? Young Miami, fucking not. And she blocked me on Twitter because I called her out on her shit. It is what it is. One of the City Girls hates me. Well, fine. Because as somebody who is friends with Diddy and dating Diddy and has so much mouth. Okay, this is a woman who was talking about how she would beat her child if she found out he was gay. Mind you, she has a young son, and she was talking about how she would beat her son if she found out he was gay. But then she's over here years later on social media, on her podcast, or whatever, through Revolt, talking about how, sometimes she doesn't really like, straight porn, and she wants to fuck, and her and Meg Thee Stallion having this interview, and she's talking about how she wants to, who would be the top, and all this, and it's just so you play it up, right? You talk all this about feeling about, sometimes you gay, sometimes I have gay feelings or whatever, but all of that you're saying, but you literally was out here double downing on how you would beat your own child if they were gay. And then even defended it at one point and said it wasn't homophobic. So Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? And that's what I mean. There's a lot of people out here like that will play up this aesthetic, but they don't say anything. And even, Harry Styles is getting criticized about that right now in the interviews he's doing. There was a whole conversation about how this guy is literally using all the queer aesthetics and references and ideas and looks and things, but yet doesn't have anything to really say on these issues, but just want to act like he's making this statement. It's just so played out, like, oh, I'm wearing a dress and I'm on the front cover of Vogue. But like, there's been people like, oh my god, everybody before him that's been doing that, and yet this white cishet man gets to take up space while dating Olivia Munn. Let's talk about it, right? He gets to date Olivia Nunn, and I heard that movie that he got coming up that's with her is a disaster. It's called Don't Worry, Darling. I think we're all worrying. I heard behind the scenes, it's a shit show. I heard Florence, I think her name is, homegirl don't really like the lead actress, don't really like her. There's conversations about pay issues, there's issues. I mean, it's so much going on with that damn thing. First of all, Harry's talking to Olivia, but he won't claim her. And then she also she was previously dating Zagzewskis, whatever the guy, Ted Lasso guy, okay? I can't keep up all the white actors, but like Ted Lasso, that guy, right? He served her papers and humiliated her on stage while she was talking at a conference or something. Like, there's a lot of drama. Harry's on the low messing with a dark day in there, but he don't want to claim it. This is all just messy. But, what do I know? This is the caucasity of it all. But anyway, I'm just so tired of these people being gay for pay or performing gay for pay, if that makes sense. It's just like, stop it. Speaking of people who I am just enamored with and in love with so much is Tabitha, okay? Tabitha. Listen, good, okay? She's, how she's the vegan cook, black woman with all her great stuff, all her talent, that ain't none of my business, Tabitha. Well, she had that big show on Food Network where everyone was super excited about it, talking about it. I was hype about it too, like a vegan competition show. Well, they have now pushed that show like in daytime on a Tuesday in the early afternoons. And it seems like there's been a big story about how she will not change herself for her brand. And she's basically calling Food Network out. It went from being on Thursday. They kind of didn't even promote it that much at the last minute. And then even kind of moved it into Thursday. It used to be Thursday nights, which is primetime hour for Food Network for all my foodies. But now it's like disappearing in the 1 o'clock hour with all the rerun shows that go to die on a Tuesday at 1, and there's been like hardly any mass promotion. And what we're speculating is that apparently Food Network was trying to change Tabitha. Like, they wanted her to change up her accent, it sounded like. They wanted her to switch up her whole vibe, and she just wasn't here for it. And it looks like this show is not returning, and it looks like, that deal is over. But I gotta give it kudos to Tabitha for Miss Tabitha Brown, for putting her foot down and not letting anybody change her. She's too blessed to be stressed. This woman was on Instagram sensation. The fact that they wanted to change her after all these successful books she's dropped, cookbooks, the vegan restaurant, all this great success, and they want to sit here and change this one for TV. Like, are you fucking stupid? Like, do you see how many social media followers she have, how much influence she has had, and you all are trying to switch her up? Like, corporate media always piss me off. Like, what are you doing? Just stupid, but not surprised. But I'm happy that she said, fuck it, right? Because we gotta say no to things that don't serve us, for real. So thank you, Tabitha. Appreciate you, Tabitha. Now, to this Sydney Sweeney situation. Now, if you don't know who she is, she's that actress on Euphoria that got the big Emmy nominations going for her. She was in The White Lotus, the white girl in The White Lotus, and Euphoria that was crying with the makeup on. That's all I can say about the whole show. I did watch The White Lotus. Y'all remember that. Euphoria, I've never really been into, but I do like Zendaya, and I hope that Zendaya wins another Emmy. That being said, Sydney Sweeney got in some buzz over the weekend because she decided that, her family was photographed with a Blue Lives Matter shirt. And there was also some Trump hats. Now, some people said they were mocks of hats. Let me tell y'all something. Personally, I'm not wearing any play Trump hat, meaning that even if the shirt doesn't say, the hat doesn't say "Make America Great Again," I don't play with that. The red hats, Don't wear them. I don't care if it's saying make pretzels great again. That motherfucking hat better be blue. Like the red hat, the look of it, like like none of that is okay. It's like playing with a swastika. Like stop it. Like just cut it out. It's not cute. It's not cool. It's like when people play with Confederate flags on designs and shirts. Like when Kanye was doing that stupid shit. Like it's a trigger. The red hats, Confederate flags, swastikas, kill them all. We don't use them. We don't work with them. Don't use them for branding and marketing. Like let that like stop playing. Stop playing. But her folks like to play clearly. So one of the family members had on a Blue Lives Matter t-shirt, and the other the people had somebody else somewhere had like what looked like a Make America Great Again hat. I can't remember if it was or wasn't, but it looked like one. It's like they're playing games. Well, here's the thing. She gave off the impression to a lot of people that she was progressive based on the type of characters she played, the type of role she was in, the type of people she was friends with. Like it just looked like she seemed to be a better person. But you know, her family, they've been controversial prior to her, right? Talking about her, rack and things, just awkward people. But now it's the party she had with them gave this country, hillbilly type of themed party, I suppose, and all of that. And she posted the pictures, and people noticed that one of the family members had on a Blue Lives Matter shirt, which that is basically supporting cops and basically negating and downplaying Black Lives Matter. Y'all, no. Okay? No excuses, no whatever. Well, Sydney Sweeney decided to get on Twitter and act like she was clapping back at people who had concerns and was just talking about how people should be politicizing things. Baby girl, your family were politicizing things when they put that shirt on, okay? They knew what they were wearing. They are grown ass adults. Like, they knew what they were doing. Politicizing something, they politicized it. They didn't have to come to that party wearing those clothes. Okay, there are plenty of shirts. He could have wore all black shirts, sweetie, and they didn't have to wear those hats. So, what it tells me was, were your family at the January 6th insurrection or no? Because, just say, at this point, anybody white that's rocking with Trump like this, you got to ask the question. I mean, they asking if listen, one of the gubernatorial candidates in Pennsylvania seems to be connected to the insurrection. Like, we got to ask these questions. If you are a Trump supporter and you white, I am going to ask you up front, what were you doing on January 6th, 2021? Let a brother know today, because that's going to determine how I move in the rooms I'm in, okay? We got to ask. You know how they say, sure Jan, sure clan. Was a fan, kind of not a fan anymore. I got to say it turned me off. Well, we are at that time, too, where we have had 1 month of an important moment in history. I have to come out as being addicted to this. It's been a month of this addiction, I have to just confess. Renaissance is now a month old, and it has continued to play in the soundtrack of my life and my body right now. What did you put in this album, Beyonce? I don't know. And let me say this. I think that she knows what she's doing when she's doing what she's doing. People talk about something, they need visuals. Let me tell you something. If the album without visuals got us hooked on it like it is, we hooked, okay? Can you imagine what the visuals are going to do to us? Because honestly, I'm listening to this album and I'm visualizing things and I'm seeing things. And even her little teaser got me envisioning things. This is an album that has literally been out for a month and it has not escaped me. It is just not. It has been in constant play. It is a genius record. It has definitely has been overplayed, okay? It is the album of the summer. It is the music of the year. It is just everything, y'all. I know I say this, but like, my God. Like, it's just over and over again. And I just love it. And honestly, if she takes her time on these visuals, she can take her time on these visuals. Because the way that she took her time on this album, I mean, my goodness. I mean, do I even need music video? I mean, I would like them. But honestly, y'all, like, there's some people that got checked on the internet this weekend, which I'm happy talking about her rollout has been a disaster. No, it's not. She's asking you all to stop and listen to the fucking music. And you know what I think? I think she realized that for so long, certain people start to argue, right? Because she always got something for the haters, right? That maybe the music wasn't that good, but maybe the visuals is what made people like the music more, which was not true. Those albums, right? Let me be clear. Lemonade stands alone by itself without the visuals being a great album. However, people have always tried to keep trying to move the goalpost on her, and I'm sick of it. Like, stop trying to move the goalpost on Beyonce right now. She is that artist, and it's great that she's making us force us to listen to the music, and it works. You've been seeing these Renaissance videos. These people are throwing Renaissance parties, playing the album. People are listening to it, saying it lyric by lyric, verse by verse. She got people buying CDs again, vinyls again. I mean, outside of Taylor Swift, because she got the girls buying vinyls too. But the fact is that she's got people wrapped up in this music, and you can't take that away from her. I'm sorry, you can't deny her that. Like, it's just an incredible album. The energy, like, this just speaks to so many people. It's just good music, and the fact that people are this excited about music in this way, and there's not one music video or not one stunt, and she hasn't had to use a music video to drive up the streaming to make her songs number one. She's really been getting it off the grip, off the grind, from the mud. I gotta give it to her, and the album just continues to just play and play. And if you have not heard it, where have you been on this planet? Okay, maybe you're not in this plan. Maybe you are unique. Maybe you are an alien superstar. I don't know. I know I'm the bar. Let's be clear. Anyway, Love and Hip Hop. So I have been watching Love and Hip Hop. As you all know, Atlanta and Miami, those are the only ones now. There's no more Love and Hip Hop in New York. There's no more Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. We just have Miami and Atlanta. And I actually like it that way, to be honest. I kind of miss New York sometimes, but they've come into other shows. What is going on with Young Jock? It's just the anticipation is building. The speculation about that marriage with him and Kendra. Oh my God, I'm clutching my pearls. For those who've been watching, right? Also, Love and Hip Hop Miami. My goodness, this Trina situation and Bobby Lights, which I have to agree with. Trina's fiance. Bobby Lights is giving liability, which also goes into the show I Love You, Bobby. Purr. Been watching that on Zeus Network, my guilty pleasure. I've been watching that in Baddie South. Baddie South is fading to me. It's like, let's end this. Hurry up and get to the reunion, y'all. You know how you can watch a show stretch? They're really stretching the fuck out this show. This show, started off really, really high and has just gotten faded and gotten boring and boring. Because, anybody who's been watching the Baddie show on Zeus, it's like it was all this. Oh, we're the bad girls. We're turning up. I just feel so bad for Natalie now. I'm like, Natalie, what have y'all done this season? We went to a couple of clubs, and the girls show up in town. This is just so tired. It's just tired. I don't know. I'm gonna see what the reunion's giving, but I'm about ready to say it might be time to retire the Bad Girls Club energy. Let it go. Her entire reputation, image is now shaped by this. It's time to grow up. You about to be in your 40s. It's let this rock. It's tired. It's tired. Personally, it's tired. But Bad Boys was good though. That was entertaining. But I Love You, Bobby Purr. I'm just getting annoyed with this show already. But I'm enjoying it. I'm annoyed. I'm annoyingly enjoying it, if that makes sense. First of all, they have all of these OnlyFans porn stars on there, which I'm not judging people in Sex Park, but I did my background research on the cast because I was trying to figure out who these individuals were. And it seems like about half of the cast is on OnlyFans or doing porn or doing something. And I'm like, so are y'all really there for Bobby, or was y'all there to promote yourselves? Okay. So because sometimes we do that. Sometimes I have found raise your hand if you listen to the show, if you've watched reality shows and you find out that some of the people on those shows, like Catfish and these other shows, some of these people are influencers or viral folks that are already in the industry. And they're they're climbing their way up to stardom. This ain't their first time in the rodeo. Tammy on Basketball Wives, Tammy was in the real world, right? And that was the original real world, back in the day. A lot of these reality stars have been on other shows and things. And so I just feel like Hollywood got a Rolodex of mid talent, D-list talent that they're trying to reshuffle and get into into things. And so these people audition to be on these shows, and they got other projects going on. They're trying to make their way to the top. And I just feel like that's what's happening here. Like when I hear about some of these people, like when I look at like Shay Johnson, quote unquote, she was on, like Shay Johnson's been getting the VH1 check for a minute. She was like, what, like she was in uh Flavor of Love. Then she was on Charm School. And then she's done went through all of the various cycles of Love and Hip Hop. And Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Like VH, and now she's in Love and Hip Hop Miami. She's been getting VH1 checks for over a decade. Maybe 20 years. But Shay Johnson's been getting some bags from VH1. But she's not the only one. A lot of these people have been doing it. So I'm looking at this and I'm just like, some of these dudes just auditioned for the Bad Boys reunion. I mean, not the reunion, but the Bad Boys show in Houston. So are you mean to tell me that some of those people were like basically told to just come to just be at the audition, like they're not even going to be sure? I don't know, but they're just recycling too much talent for me. Like Ray J is just recycled talent at this point. He's on everybody's show now. But this I Love You Bobby show, it's just, it's a lot. But you know, what do I know? Well, this week seems like it's going to be exciting. We're about to be in the first week of September. As always, you know, more to come, more surprises. There's just so many things I cannot wait to share. There's something that just recently like came on my desk this past weekend. I'll be able to tell you some of that detail the next time. But as always, be well and be best. Earnestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Earnestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.